Let's first
Very.
start with founders. What mind shift does a founder need to have when starting to deal with procurement? And if he happens to come from inside and then going from outside, I'm sure there must be some challenges. So, John, what advice would you give to someone on procurement and how you need to take it in stride, to put it crudely?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest kind of things, especially as you called it, sort of, going from the inside looking out, now outside looking in, is from the inside, you don't have to deal with procurement. You don't really understand how important they necessarily are. You know, there's some process for an agency buying stuff, but you don't really understand how complicated that process is. In government, what I tend to find people don't necessarily understand is the strictness of procurement rules in government.
Yes.
Agencies get a single budget once a year. There's no, hey, let's sell some more stuff so that we can have more budget. There's no, let's do any of these crazy things. You get it one time. One of the things I try and, kind of help founders with is, hey, instead of chasing every agency you possibly could, you really need to get in line with what their budget cycle is. And most of them want to sell in different states. And what you'll find is you would think there's some standard for budget cycles, but there's not. Different states.
That's a very important point. Yes.
Yeah. Different states, different counties, even within a state, they have their own fiscal year that might be different. Some start in January, some start in July, some start in October. You've really got to get in at the right time within that budget cycle, because if you're a month before the budget cycle, chances are their budget was approved 3 months ago, and they're not going to be able to do anything for another year potentially.
But John, I still want to talk about the procurement angle a bit more. So the budget cycle is critical. What about behavior? What about relationships? How would you kind of shed light on that?
Yeah, I mean, you really need to understand the internals. I mean, who is the procurement manager, or, whatever person they have in charge of procurement, and understand kind of what their process is internally. When our budget's approved, is there going to have to be an RFP? Is there a threshold before something has to go to RFP? Because that's, again, it sounds like a little thing, but it could mean the difference in selling something today and selling something in a year from now. Because if you can find a way, I hate to say beat the system, but you kind of are. If you can get it under that procurement threshold or that RFP threshold, you suddenly skip. That is complicated. And I'll tell you, nobody in the agency wants to do an RFP, and no vendor wants to answer an RFP. It's complicated. It takes a long time. And so if you can find a way, to sort of understand that procurement rules within that agency, that's gold for you. And part of that is meeting with procurement, even if your champion is, let's say, the elected prosecutor that you're selling to, making sure that you're introduced to procurement so that they can help you navigate the procurement rules within their agency.